You want to do 10-1 or 1-10?
I want to do 10-1 this week.
All right,
Make them
10 to
hold for it. Make them wait for the best team.
10-1. All right. You want to start it off?
I'll start it off at number 10. I got the Baltimore Ravens. They're 4-2. They got absolutely embarrassed by a division rival last week, so they definitely dropped in my rankings a bit from that. I do think Cincinnati's a great team though, so it's not going to knock Baltimore out of the top 10, but they uh, they came out flat and they got embarrassed. Um, Cincinnati routed them, but I still think Baltimore would beat a lot of teams in the league head to head matchups. So they're my number 10 team.
All right. Number 10. Damn. I wanted to do a different team, but I'm gonna have to agree with you here.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore was much higher on our list last week, but that loss was brutal to watch. Um, Number 9, I have the Las Vegas Raiders, 5-2, leading the division. They've looked pretty good since the week. They looked bad the week all the Gruden stuff happened. Since then, they've turned it around. They've had two nice performances. So, you know, just the way they're playing right now, they're definitely a top 10 team. We beat Baltimore earlier this year, so I think we could do it again. Um, I have them at number 9. I think they're good, but I'm always skeptical because I'm a Raiders fan, so I follow this team very closely, and they tend to like to let me down, so I'm not moving them up higher than this yet.
All right, at 9. Do 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 do. Trying to do different teams. I don't want to just follow what you're doing. Da, 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 da. At 9, I will take the. I mean, I guess it's got to be Las Vegas at this point. Looking at the 8 teams ahead of them, it's Las Vegas. I wanted to do a different team than you, and I can't make
I know
I
I'm
can't
throwing
make
you
a
off because
I can't make a
I'm going
judgment.
first this week.
Yeah.
So, in fairness, I'll let you get a first pick. Who do you have at number 8?
Mm, at 8, I would have to put Cincinnati. Uh, they looked good last week against the Ravens. They are 5-2, but I need another runaway game like they had against the Ravens to move them up from 8. I believe I had them sitting either at 9 last week or out of the top 10. Yes, so I had them sitting outside the top 10 last week, so they've made their way into the top 10. I'm not ready to move them higher than 8, but, I have them sitting right there at 8.
At 8, I have the Tennessee Titans. They've looked really good the past few weeks. Their ability to run the ball with Derrick Henry is obviously next level. Um, Tannehill's looked good, but not as good as he has looked in the past. Julio continues to be a non-factor via injury. So I have some questions in the pass game. Obviously, they can run the ball pretty much better than anybody in the league. And Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. Their defense has been playing well lately, but early in the season they didn't look good. So I need to just see a little bit more film of good defensive play, and I'd like to see, you know, they've yet to be in a situation with these wins where they had to rely on Tannehill really to throw the ball. It's been the Derrick Henry show. It's kind of a lack of trust in the pass game and the defense with me that keeps them down towards 8. At 7, I have the team you just had at 8. I have the Bengals. I think if they played right now, I'd have to favor the Bengals. Their offense is absolutely explosive. Chase and Burrow are ridiculous together, and their defense has been playing good football. And they're doing this without their top running back because Mixon is down right now. So when Joe Mixon comes back, I think this team could be even more dangerous offensively. I really just like Burrow and what he's doing and how that team's been performing lately. And with that, the way they handled Baltimore this past week is what moved them up my top 10 a little bit.
So we're at 7. I'm gonna go Green Bay.
Okay.
You know, they are 6-1 on the season. You know, they've had some good wins, but I just feel like the wins they have are against not very good opponents. You know, really their biggest win of the season is against the Cincinnati Bengals, who I have at 8. You know, in overtime after missing 20 field goals both sides. So,
yeah,
you know, I mean, besides that, the last 2 weeks they played Chicago and Washington. They both kept it in between. Both teams kept it between 2 scores. So, I mean, at 7, I'm going to go Green Bay.
Yeah, this like 6, 7, 8 section here, I had a tougher time with, just because I think these teams are all very close with Tennessee and Cincinnati, and at number 6 I have the Green Bay Packers. If it was strictly just basing it on this week with all those injuries at receiver, they would obviously be lower, but that's not what I'm judging it on. I'm judging it on their roster normally. And they're at 6 strictly pretty much because they have Aaron Rodgers, and he's just, you know, a more proven high elite level quarterback than Burrow and then Ryan Tannehill. So I feel like if they were on a neutral site field, like if this was a Super Bowl matchup, I would take Green Bay. I would take Rodgers. So I'm leaving them above those teams still. Of course, like any other week, that could change week to week here. So I got Green Bay at 6, Matt. Who do you have?
At 6, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Their defense is the shaky part of their team, I believe. And they still haven't really established a run game to the point to where it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Josh Allen until they develop that run game and their defense plays at a little bit higher of a level than they are right now. I can't see them being a top 5 team at the moment.
I mean, our defense only had one bad game all year. I have them at 5, the Buffalo Bills. You know, the last game they played, because they had a bye week. Yeah, they got, beat pretty badly. I don't think their defense is as good as it played those first few weeks, but I don't think it's as bad as they looked in the last game. Josh Allen is still a stud, and that offense is still ridiculously powerful. The run game isn't quite established, like you said, but it's much improved from last year.
Yeah.
And we all saw that what the Bills could do come playoff times last year. You know, Josh Allen has a strong arm. He don't have no problem throwing it in the cold, and at the end of the year. So I still like Buffalo, just a little bit more than you do, but we've been pretty comparable. Can I try and guess your number 5?
Sure.
I think number 5 you're going to have Tennessee?
No.
Really?
Dallas.
All right, so who do you got at 5? Dallas Cowboys, huh?
The Dallas Cowboys at 5.
You're a hater.
Hey, I'm not hating. This is
I'm kidding.
This is a defense. They have gotten the takeaways when they've needed them, but this is also a defense that has had a lot of penalty yards. So, if the takeaways stop coming, is their defense going to be able to get off the field? So, I have them sitting at 5. I feel like that kind of stops them from being a complete football team. I do believe if their penalty numbers dropped, I could easily have them sitting second or third in the power rankings, but with the penalties being as high as they are defensively, and then not to mention they've had some offensive penalties throughout the year that have killed drives where, I believe in the Tampa game, they had a late penalty offensively that ended up killing a drive that they could have ended up beating Tampa Bay to start the season. So, I mean, it's really just them not being disciplined enough for me to put them higher than 5 when the 4 teams left, I feel, are better than them offensively, defensively, and disciplined-wise. And you need to be top at all 3 to be able to compete for that Lombardi trophy.
So, I got the Cowboys at 4, 1 spot ahead of you. I just think I talked about Buffalo having an explosive offense. I think Dallas's offense is even a little bit more explosive than Buffalo. And I think their defensive issues that can come up are comparable. Also, I believe that Dallas has a better run game. So I got them just edging out Buffalo a little bit, though I do think it would be a coin flip game if they actually played. I think both teams have a ton of talent. But Dak is absolutely red hot this year. If he can stay healthy, it makes this Cowboy team look completely different than they've looked in the past few years. So I have them at 4. Your number 4 team.
You want to guess again?
I mean, I'm going to guess this is where you have the Titans.
No.
I mean, I feel like the Titans got to be somewhere around here.
What if I told you the Titans weren't in my top 10? No. No. At 4, I have the Rams.
Okay.
Right now, the Rams, you saw last week, their defense is starting to... I can't really say starting to because they played against the goddamn Giants 2 weeks ago and they looked great. But their defense isn't holding the way that I was expecting them to throughout the year. And one thing with Stafford is Stafford just has that mentality of, I'm going to throw it up and let my receivers go get it. And, that's a great mentality to have, but we've seen that kill him in the past. And one thing that, we saw against the Rams a few weeks back, not the Rams, the Cardinals a few weeks back, was he couldn't get on the same page with Cooper Kupp that whole game. Arizona did a hell of a job messing with Stafford's head when it came to trying to throw to Cooper Kupp. And, these last couple weeks, they've played really bad defenses, and it's making them look like they're a better team to me than they actually are. They played Detroit last week, and everyone had Detroit getting blown out by that 16.5 point spread. And Detroit covered that 16.5. They even covered the 10. So, this team in the Rams, I believe, is on that outskirts of 3. A big week this week. They play Houston. Maybe
they should have a big week this week playing the Houston Texans.
2 weeks from now, we could have this discussion that maybe they're 2 or 3 when they play the Tennessee Titans.
Who I'm guessing you have at number 3?
Yes, I have the Tennessee Titans at 3.
So you're a little higher on the Titans than me. Like I said, I still have some concerns with them and their explosive playability, which is, today's NFL.
There ain't no need for explosive play. Give it to Derrick Henry and let him run, baby.
Bruh, 10 years ago, the Tennessee Titans would probably be number 1 in my power rankings this week, but this isn't the same game.
Just give the ball to Derrick Henry, let him run. You want an explosive play? This man ran the fastest time as a running back 2 weeks ago at 21.8 miles an hour.
He's a freak.
Yes, So there's
He's a
no
freak,
reason.
but he's only one man.
Yeah, but that one man can rush for touchdowns. He can catch touchdowns. And what did he do last week? He threw a touchdown.
Derrick Henry heard us talking about how he probably won't win the MVP because he's not a quarterback, and he said, "Hold my beer," and threw a touchdown pass. That's what he did. Look, I think they're red hot right now. I just have concerns with when they get into the playoffs and they are playing, a Buffalo, a Cincinnati, can if they need to get yards through the air, are they capable of doing it with the weapons they have and the offensive line? The offensive line run blocks great. Their pass blocking gets shaky at times, and Tannehill, just like most every other quarterback in the league, does not perform well under pressure. So
How do you
I
beat
can
Josh
see
Allen?
why you're high on them.
How do you beat Josh Allen?
You hit him.
No. Keep the ball out of his hands. How do you beat Patty Mahomes? Take the ball out of his hands.
Just like they did last week.
How do you beat Joe Burrow right now with Cincinnati? Keep the ball out of his hands.
I get it.
What can Tennessee do?
I just
keep the ball out of all these boys' hands.
I get it. I get why you're high on them. I think they're a talented team. I just need to see more. And if we're talking end of the year, if they have to have Derrick Henry carry the ball this many times, how fresh is he going to be in the playoffs?
We know this. We've had this
discussion about them right now.
We've had this discussion.
I don't have concerns about
Derrick
them
Henry.
now.
Derrick Henry only gets better the more times he carries the ball. Derrick Henry wants the ball 600 times a year. He wants it.
Yes, he does in the beginning of the year, but he's going to take a lot of hits, and it's a lot of running.
Yeah, but this is the perfect time.
Need to know that he's going to be fresh.
This is the perfect time. You get Derrick Henry his 20 to 25, even 30 touches a game right now. What's going to happen is you're going to get these defenses that are going to drop 9 in the box, and that's when Julio and AJ Brown go crazy. And that's all it takes
if they're healthy.
You get these boys to come in and put 9 in the box, and you let AJ Brown or Julio go one-on-one with some of these cornerbacks in the AFC, and you're talking Tannehill could have a huge game because all he's got to do is throw it up to these two big receivers.
Well, I agree with that, but right now and for most of the season, Julio Jones hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy for the last 5 years. He's like the offensive version of J.J. Watt. He's great when he's on the field, but he hadn't been on the field, so he's not great.
All right, so what do you got at 3?
That worries me with them. I have the Rams at 3.
All right.
Their defense is good. They have a lot of talent on it, too. So even, like we said, they have had some weeks where they haven't looked as good as we thought they should, but they also have big game experience. Matt Stafford has been an absolute stud this year. Almost 2,200 yards. He's third in the league in that, 19 touchdowns, second in the league. He only has 4 picks. He leads the league in QBR. As long as that defense stays healthy and can step it up when they need to step up, which with the likes of Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, we all know they have the ability to do on any given week. I think they're one of the top 3 teams in the league. It's just where I'm at on them. Moving to number 2, I have the Tampa Bay Bucks, TB12, the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers, any of the names above. They look really good every week. Tom Brady is leading the league in pass yards at 400 years old. He's leading the league in touchdowns at 400 years old. The guy has 21 touchdowns and 3 picks. For people who don't get how ridiculous that is, okay, typically NFL quarterbacks want to stay to like above a 2-to-1 touchdown pass interception ratio. Good quarterbacks are usually about 2.5 to 3. My man's 7-to-1 right now. That's ridiculous. I mean, the defense hasn't looked great every week, but they've also been banged up. So if they can get themselves healthy, we all saw what this roster could do last year. They returned all their starters. I just have them go into the Super Bowl right now. It's Brady. I don't bet against Brady. That's how you lose money. Period.
All right, at 2, I'm going to shake it up. I got Arizona at 2. They don't get the number 1 spot until they beat Green. They don't get the number 1 spot until they beat Green Bay tonight. Even without Green Bay having 3 receivers, this is the game that Arizona needs to solidify them being the number 1 team in football. And like I said, I don't know if they get it done tonight.
Well, we're on different pages there. Arizona Cardinals are the number 1 team in football. They're 7-0, and not only are they 7-0, they have smashed good teams this year. I know everybody keeps saying the same thing as you, that I need to see more. I need to see more. How many more top 10 teams do you need to see them smash through this year? It's just
how many
ridiculous.
top teams did we have to
Kyler's
see Pittsburgh beat last year? Pittsburgh started 10-0. You know, and
okay,
they were number 1, 2, or 3 on a lot of power rankings last year. So I'm not ready to write the ship.
Weren't on mine.
I'm not ready to write the ship and give them number 1 yet. But if they beat Green Bay tonight, I'll give them number 1 next week.
I'm assuming you have the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers number 1.
No, I got Mac Daddy Jones in the New England Patriots. No, I got Tom Brady at number. I got Tom Brady number 1. It's not even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the TB12s.
This man said he's going to play until he feels like he can't play anymore. At this rate and the way he keeps himself in shape during the offseason.
60.
50, 55, 60. You're talking dude that's going to win 20, 25 championships in his career because nobody's even coming close to what he's doing. And I hate Tom Brady. I literally hate him. Like, if Tom Brady fell when he tried to catch the Lombardi Trophy when it fell in the ocean and he didn't come back up, I might have been excited. But you always got to respect the player. And the way that Tom Brady has carried himself on the field, off the field, and what he's doing right now in Tampa Bay without having Bill Belichick, when people said that Bill Belichick was the best coach of all time, Tom Brady's proven a lot of people wrong that Belichick might not have been the best coach of all time. Brady might be the LeBron James of football. He might be the best coach of all time. Like, LeBron builds his teams and people get upset because he builds super teams. Brady built his team and people are getting upset because it's a super team. No, these guys are bringing in veterans that want to win championships, and Tom Brady is the best quarterback in football. He's still not better than Peyton Manning, but right now he's the best quarterback in football. So I got to give him best quarterback in football, and I got to give Tampa Bay the best team in football over the last 7 weeks because they started off in the beginning of the year, like you said, against New Orleans. They lost. They bounced back. They're now sitting at 6-1.
They are 6-1.
So they're 6-1 on a 6-game win streak. What they did last week? I mean, you played against the Chicago Bears. You know, Chicago hasn't looked terrible this year besides the first start for Justin. To go out there and win 38-3, make Justin cry. Think about actually quitting football because he had 3 interceptions and 3 turnovers, and 3 fumbles. So he had a total of 6 interceptions or 6 turnovers. So that defense came to play against them. And then you go and you look at the week before was a Thursday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I wish they would have killed Jalen Hurts, not physically, but mentally. You know, made him seem like he was Ben Simmons and didn't remember how to throw a ball and then had to go and, you know, get back spasms looked at for a few weeks and then not be able to play at home. But, you know, the defense is starting to step up. When you look at the game against Philadelphia, they won 28-22, but Philadelphia ended up scoring 15 points in the last 5 minutes of the game. So, you know, Tampa really did their thing in the beginning of the game, and it was kind of like the garbage minutes where Philadelphia's been scoring, where they took advantage of the defense. So between the last 2 weeks, you take away the last 5 minutes, would they win these games 58-10? So, I mean, that looks like what Mac Daddy Jones just did last week against the Jets. But that was over 1 week, not 2.
So, I'm going to blow up your entire argument there. Every team you just named that Tampa Bay has played and beaten, for the most part, are trash in the NFL. They've beaten one good team,
Which
They
is
didn't rout them. Who? Tampa Bay's one good opponent that they beat?
Who's their one good team?
The only team I would say is a good team that they beat was the Cowboys, and the Cowboys, as we talked about earlier in our pairing rankings, could have won that game. They played another good team in the Rams. They got smacked around. Then they squeaked by the shaky Patriots, blow out the Dolphins, who hasn't. Only
I'll tell you a team
top
who
the Eagles
hasn't.
by 6, but like you said, that was garbage time. But then if you go ahead and look at the Arizona Cardinals, who I have number 1, they shellacked the Titans week 1, who you have as your number 3 team in football.
That don't count. Tennessee sucks week 1 and week 2 every year. We know this. We know this. I've learned this the hard way. You don't bet Ryan Tannehill until at least week 5.
Then they got their lucky win against the Vikings. I won't say that they didn't. They took care of business and smacked the Jags like they should have. Then they beat the Rams by 17 points, beat the Niners by a touchdown when the Niners were healthy, and held that offense that Kyle Shanahan's supposed to be the guru of to 10 points. Then they routed the Cleveland Browns. Then they routed the Texans.